thank you for your support, actually.
Thank you very much. I'd like to invite up the panelists for this session. The mining projects in Serbia, views from industry experts. So if Marnie, Tio, Peter and Velko could come up here, please. Thank you. So we're going to have 4 presentations from organizations that are at various different stages of the mine development process in Serbia. And then we'll go to you guys for questions, so please be prepared with questions, and we'll also have a few Q&As between the different members of the panel and myself. I just wanted to start, though, by saying that we gave this session the subtitle, Developing the Mine We Want to See. And Chris Johnson spoke very eloquently at the Canadian Embassy yesterday evening, and the ambassador mentioned the mine we want to see also in her presentation. And I wanted to talk about what do we mean by the mine we want to see? What is ERM talking about? Firstly, it starts right at the beginning, and that's why I'm so delighted that we have a series of panelists who are at everything from exploration stage going through the permitting stage to, in Peter's case, being involved in operation of mines in Serbia and elsewhere. Secondly, it's about sustainability. Sustainability means different things to different people, and we use the common definition, which is PRECEDE, as a commitment to support the needs of the current generations without compromising the needs of the future. But we hear sustainable mining as a term used in conferences all over the world. In fact, this is one of the only conferences I've been to recently that doesn't have sustainable mining in its title. What on earth does sustainable mining mean? Well, and how does it sit with the reputation of some mining companies, at least, and in some quarters as mining as being dirty and bad for the environment and exploitative? Well, there's no doubt in our minds, at least, that mining meets the needs of society, and mining is at the forefront of the technological revolution. The minerals that we produce or are involved in producing are the essential materials which mobile phones, electric cars, batteries, the infrastructure which charges the new revolution in automotive industry, all come from the products that we mine, as do the components for low voltage lighting, solar panels and turbines. These are the building blocks of the low carbon economy. But at the same time, the mining sector is suffering, or is subject to at least, external scrutiny like never before from investors, NGOs and society, which creates a highly emotive set of issues that the industry has to confront and deal with positively. As sustainability professionals, we feel that we are to blame for unwittingly introducing complexity in the language we use around monitoring, measuring and implementing sustainability. So when we talk about sustainable mining, we're talking about that whilst there are examples of bad practice, there are also many, many companies in the industry that explore minerals, develop and operate mines in harmony with stakeholders and the communities in which they sit. They generate sustainable economic benefits and impacts whilst managing the environment around them throughout the full supply chain of the products that they produce. And when the time comes when when the resources are being finally extinguished, they leave a positive legacy behind for the communities which they've affected. So we've identified at ERM the practices which make up the mines which balance or the operations which balance the short and long-term needs of stakeholders. And whilst I don't think any mine would claim to do it perfectly, many mines set the standards, and we call those the mines we want to see. And I know that our various speakers whilst they might have their own definitions of sustainable mining, are also aspiring to develop such projects. So with that, I'll hand over to our first speaker, who is Marnie Finlayson. Now, Marnie was only recently appointed General Manager of Rio Tinto's Jadar operations in Serbia in September. She's a qualified minerals processing engineer and lives in Serbia with her husband and 2 children. Over to you, Marnie.
Thank you, Gerant, for that kind introduction. As Gerant said, I've only been in Serbia for 2 months and in my current role actually for only 1 month. So it's an absolute privilege to be living and working in this country and also to be asked to speak here today. So thank you, Simeon, and your team for a fantastic event. I'd also like to acknowledge the ambassadors that spoke so eloquently this morning, and thank you very much for your support. Before I start, please be aware that the presentation that I'm doing today does contain some forward-looking statements, and I'm obliged to draw this to your attention. So what am I going to talk about? I wish to tell you a story about an extraordinary journey that we've been on so far, a story which Rio Tinto and Serbia are unfolding together. It is a story about pioneering progress that we are very proud of, and one that entails a very important mineral discovery in a world of constant change. Jadarite is a new lithium, sodium, borate silicate mineral found only in Serbia, just near Loznica. When developed, this deposit of jadarite could supply a significant portion of the global demand of both lithium and boric acid. The project is well progressed and we're currently at pre-feasibility stage. This slide shows the 3 forms of jadarite, a mineral that is bewitching geologists and mineralogists around the world. Just recently, I was at our research facility in Bandura in Melbourne, Australia, and spoke to the lead mineralogist from Rio Tinto. And when asked about this mineral and whether it was actually this exciting, she said, "I've never seen anything like this before." So since jadarite is a new mineral, we've continuously, over the years, invested substantially in the development of the new technology process to be able to economically extract the lithium carbonate and boric acid. And we'll also be extracting sodium sulfate. This work is being done in collaboration with well-renowned technologists and scientists around the world, working for several Rio Tinto operations, but also with experts outside of our company. We've recognised that in order to get the best possible outcome for this deposit, that we need to partner with experts around the world. We've engaged extraordinary resources and talents on this project, whose expertise we will use to process the jadarite. Here is their story. So I'd like you to meet Jeff Bodie, who is our...
Jadarite is one of the most exciting discoveries of recent times because of the high concentrations of lithium and boron in the mineral, 2 elements which are essential for the modern world. Demand for lithium is soaring primarily because of electric vehicles, and it's the intrinsic properties of lithium that make it indispensable in those batteries. It has the highest charge-to-weight ratio of all the elements. The Jadar project is the most interesting project that I've worked on because of the technical challenges and because of the sense that we're doing something really useful for the world. Our children and our grandchildren could be benefiting from this discovery.
So Jeff is just one of the many talented and very passionate individuals that we have working on this project. So when developed, the Jadar operations will produce 3 products, as I mentioned earlier, all of which are really going to contribute to industrial and technological development. If you look at the uses for lithium carbonate, is used for lithium batteries and is very driven by the demand or the future demand for EVs, really due to the energy density of lithium. It was also used in heat-resistant glass and ceramics and high-strength aircraft alloys. The boric acid is used as an additive in mature industries, including insulation fiberglass, glass, and agricultural micronutrients. And sodium sulfate is in powdered detergents in the textile industry. So at this stage, it is very important for us to understand these markets in order to build sustainable operations for the long term, both for Rio Tinto, Serbia, and our future customers. So, Yadda is a world-class long-term project, and we wish to develop it responsibly. We have spent over $100 million US already assessing the different aspects of such a long-term project development. But as we all know, that this takes time. We need to grow confidence over our ore body knowledge. We need to understand the permitting and legal requirements. We're exploring different logistics and transport options and trade-offs. We are assessing the local capabilities for employment, operational supplies, and building an appropriate health and safety culture. And we've heard about a lot of those topics already this morning. We are also measuring the environmental baseline in order to annul and mitigate the impacts, all whilst building trust and long-lasting relationships with our local communities and the government. We will do this thoroughly and responsibly, assessing all the potential impacts and mitigation measures in the best pioneering spirit. We want to make sure that our future operations are cost-effective and sustainable. We want to mine responsibly and in partnership with host governments, local communities, and our customers. Rio Tinto has been mining for over 146 years worldwide. Throughout these years, we have been nurturing our pioneering spirit, aimed at producing materials essential for the progress of humankind. The Yadda project fits in very well with our purpose and the vision, but we need to be careful to develop this project in a responsible way. As our Chief Executive recently pointed out, we need to jointly answer the question about the role of mining in today's world. We need to start having honest conversations with all of our stakeholders on some very challenging topics. For example, the trade-off between creating jobs and economic and social progress whilst doing an activity that does impact the environment. Surely, we could stop mining, but then we would need to stop consuming the things that we use every day. It's a simple fact that mining is essential to human progress and has been for the last century or more. We shouldn't be talking only about the hardware and the software of our products, the iron ore, the copper, and the lithium, but rather about how they help people to live better lives. The story of Yadda is one such story that we jointly wish to unwind together. We used to develop a mine that we want to see and be very proud of. Thank you very much for your time.